Good evening and welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. I hope whoever's watching, there's no many watching. I think everybody that watches maybe is at the Oasis gig tonight. There's no many in the viewing in that number in the top corner now. But I'm joined tonight with Jed. How you doing?
Fine, Franny. Fine. Just looking forward to Moan tonight, that's all.
Good. And also James as well. How you doing, James?
Aye, all good, mate. Wee week off work, so same as Jed. Just glad to get on to moan to somebody.
I'm sure we'll have a morning maybe get a wee bit of therapy here tonight. And I say just welcome along to Chris. He's watching. Chris Cross and anybody else. Just fire your comments in. We're just going to start with a wee bit of fun in that. Just to start it, I'll come to yourself first. Jed, I'll come to you first. So it's build your perfect Celtic player. Starting with a right foot. So who you think's got the best right foot that you've ever seen playing for Celtic?
Listen, I'm gonna actually change it altogether with that because I think, in my opinion, we had a player that was so gifted, right foot, left foot, and a good head.
Nah, I think I know who you're going with.
Right, I'll let people try and guess who it is. Right, so that's me built my player already because I've already seen him. Because you actually think, is he right footed, is he left footed? He was phenomenal. Do you know who it is?
And I'm going to take a punt at Moravchik because when I was thinking 100%. It was like you could pick either fit for him.
Lubo Moravchik. Look at his very first game he's played, the first Rangers game, scored with his left foot, scored with a header. Honestly, he hardly scored any tap in. He was just a phenomenal player. So there's the perfect right foot, left foot header for me.
What about?
That's short then.
Maybe no speed, but creativity. You could. You'd probably chuck Lugo back in for that.
Yes,
you could probably chuck him in for that as well. What about speed? You've gone all four so far for
speed.
It probably wasn't the quickest. So
did he a gap?
Oh, aye. And had a good arse as well. Lubo, to be fair, managed to control it. What about yourself, James? Right foot, left foot, header, speed, and creativity.
Well, a couple of ones you just mentioned. I went for a gap with pace or speed. Creativity, I went Lubo. I think that was a kind of tap in. Left foot, I went Nakamura. I thought that was the kind of the easy one for that. Obviously, free kicks. Headers, I actually went with Henrik Larsson. For a guy his size, obviously scored his fair share of headers, fair share of good headers as well. Right foot was probably the one I struggled with the most, to be honest with you. But I pumped for James Forrest. I just saw over 100 goals, over 100 assists. I can't think of many that would be with his left foot or his head anyway. So I think we had a lot to pick for the right foot. Obviously, I'd say most players are right footed, so I pumped for James Forrest.
To be fair, I was pretty much the same as you, James, but my speed was, I think it was Maeda. Kind of the obvious one, but then it was probably more shamelessly forgot about Didier Gap for a second there until you mentioned him. I was like, I forgot how rapid he was.
The other one, that was the two I was kind of told it was a Gap, Maeda, and then the other one I thought he was Frimpong. I think that's probably the three quickest in recent times anyway, or fucking fairly recent times.
Apparently Yamada's rapid too, but I don't know if we'll ever find that out.
Aye, exactly.
By the way, guys, anyway. Just to change the topic, Kyogo just scored a wonder goal and it's been called off.
Oh, I forgot that game was on.
Unbelievable.
I'll see it in 5 minutes.
Sorry, I just seen it. It was
the remote controls are away from me. It's all right, Jed. I'll just come to yourself, James. Obviously, we'll just get a wee quick sort of recap of last week. I just wanted to kind of come to you first as well, because I know you've just, I said recently, I think obviously for the last season, you started taking a wee bit of football and stuff, and obviously I might be, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would have been his first flag day last weekend.
No, I think that was his second.
Right.
I think he missed last year's, but it was the year before. But certainly will be the first one that he can remember.
Right, aye. Oh, so I didn't realise he'd been taking him that long. Didn't realise he'd been taking him that long, the football, mate.
Yuck. He went a couple of times just as kind of one-offs he was wanting to go, but obviously, as I say now, he's got his season book, so he's taking me these days, more or less.
But how was it? Because obviously we all kind of got introduced probably to Celtic through that similar kind of connection. So I'm assuming that's kind of good. Must be a wee nice wee thing to kind of take your wee boy to football and things like that, and obviously experience things like that.
It's good. It's good. Some obviously my dad done with me, as you say, it's how I think a lot is get introduced to it, and obviously just to kind of pass it on. Obviously, it adds that makes it a wee bit more kind of special memories and all that birthday card pish that'll come away with. But it's good in terms of the day itself. Getting into the game atmosphere wise, I didn't really know what to expect. I know there was a lot of still is a lot of animosity towards the club now and the board and all the rest of it. But Flag Day's Flag Day, and it's a celebration of what's went before. So it was good, and obviously seeing Paul McStay there as well. I know he's on Australia the majority of the time these days. He doesn't get a regular. So all in all, it was a good day out up until the fitness started.
It was, to be fair, it was the game. I mean, we had our chances, but it wasn't. It felt for me, Jed, a sort of a hangover, if you like, how the last season kind of finished, the type of performance it was. But obviously, you're a bit similar to James in the fact that you go with your daughter to the football as well. So obviously, you're kind of introducing her to it and things that'd be good. But I thought Celtic did play a bit of. It was a good move for them bringing Paul McStay over and arranging him to unfurl the flag. I think they were, an inverted commas, clever with a suspended 3-match ban for the Green Brigade, because I think they may, I mean, I'm only guessing, but I think they could have had some sort of different. I think they were agreeing they were going to do the display for John Fallon and Sean Fallon and John Clark. Sorry, but I think they may have had something else up their sleeve if they didn't have this 3-match suspended ban suddenly hanging over their head. So I think maybe Celtic were, as I say, in inverted commas, clever there. But how did you take in the day and up until the football, as James says?
Well, I didn't get in, just the players were just coming out when I got in the stadium, which isn't like me. I'm normally in pretty early. To be honest, I thought there would have been more animosity towards the board. It may have been like that if I hadn't scored the late goal. As James touched on earlier, I think it was a bit of a very similar to the last game of the season against St Mirren. But guys, give St Mirren credit as well. They are so well organised. They play a back five. They're quite a big team as well. And if you don't break them down early doors, i.e. in the first half, they just stick to their system. And it does get very, very difficult. I think if you score early against them, that's their game plan out the window. So they need to come at teams. But we never done that. But we'll come on to the game itself later, no doubt.
We'll just kind of come to yourself, James, and kind of talk about the game. I mean, the first half, I felt like we created chances, and guys like Adam Reeder, I mean, he's came out and says he's confident he can score 30 goals this season. And I suppose if you look at his campaign last season, he started his fair share, but a lot of the goals probably came off the bench and stuff, and he still managed to get 22 goals. So, on the one hand, you're looking at going, probably could if he's the main striker, but he looked like a guy that just tried too hard for me. And so, I don't think he had a terrible game, but it was just nothing really came off for him, I didn't think.
If you're basing it on the performance at the weekend, and he's saying he's going to get 30 goals for the season, they must be counting these goals in the warm-up as well, because there is no danger on that evidence he's going to hit that. I thought he was hopeless in pre-season as well. I don't even think that's been harsh. I genuinely think he was awful pre-season. Doesn't really count for anything, but I thought he kind of carried it into Saturday. And I've somebody that's probably defended Adam Ida in the past, in terms of I know a lot of people's kind of wrote him off and they'd sell him if we get a decent offer and all the rest of it. But I would keep him about, but I just wouldn't trust him to be the number one choice striker. And I think in an ideal world, that's what the manager thinks as well. Obviously, borrowing the fact that apparently we're still in for a striker. But I can't lie, I didn't think. I know he has the chance that he kind of brings. I don't know if he brings it down on his head or if he chists it in, and then he hits the post with it. But he's got to bury that. I mean, you can say he's done well to bring it down his chest. If he's hitting the post, he'd be as well hitting the car park. He has to score that. He doesn't. I don't even think he has to take the touch. I think he can put his head on it and send it across the goalie. I think that's an easier option. But he's got to score it, and that's where, especially in the games, the way that the game was, it was tight. We don't think we were creating a great deal, to be honest. We had a couple of chances, but that's where you need your striker to be clinical. That's where you need them to take the chances. I know it's the first game of the season, but obviously it can happen later in the season. It can be a game with a lot more riding on it than the first game of the season, and that's where you need to be confident in your number one striker to take the chance and get the 3 points. And I just don't feel that with Adam either now. Don't get me wrong, I think his confidence is absolutely shot. It just doesn't look as if he's got a lot of confidence at all. Funnily enough, that was actually, I think it was McGinty I was talking to the other day. You're saying he looks as if he's trying too hard. I think it looks as if he's not trying enough. I know it's something that you always say with players is, oh, they look like they're trying too hard. And I just don't see that either. I just don't see him busting a gut. I don't see him running. I think there was a couple of chances, be it a cutback or a ball fired across, where he should have been there, but he wasn't. He was a few yards behind it. He couldn't go on the end of it. So I've probably fucking wrote his obituary there, to be fair, but I still wouldn't be throwing him on the scrap heap. But I would like to see another striker coming in to take the jersey off him and kind of take the workload off him.
No, I'll be honest, there's no I can disagree with James, because I have tried to give the guy a chance and stuff, and thought he was fully deserving of his move last summer, Jed, but it sounds silly when you consider he's got 20 odd goals last season on the evidence of that, and saying I can't trust the guy.
Listen, his confidence is down. We're all on it to do well. I mean, there was a couple of balls. I think Tierney put in a good ball. He missed the header in the first half. But if I'm going to stick up for him a wee bit, did he really get a lot of service? He certainly never got any from Yang. Listen, we all want him to succeed. You can see he's trying. But I still think we're going to start with him on Sunday. Again, we'll probably come on to that, because I don't know, by dropping him, how much does that set him back? We need to get him. I mean, let's be honest, he has scored some big goals for us in the time he's been here, where it was on loan and after we signed him. So I just hope he can get a couple, and then it just builds the confidence. With all strikers, they just need to get a few goals, and then we can move on. But at least he was in the position. I thought, James, I did think he was unlucky with his chance that rattled the post. If it went to his left, the keeper's right, yeah, definitely it's in the back of the net. And we could have been 3-4-0 up before we got a late goal, because of hitting the crossbar, hitting the post, keeper as well. But at the end of the day, it was 3 points. Was that a great performance? Certainly not. There is vast improvements needed in all areas of the pitch. Because if you look, the biggest fault I felt at the weekend was we did not move the ball quick enough. We were very pedestrian-like. Yang never went down the byline once. Kept coming inside all the time. And another thing that I really noticed, guys, I think it's going to take a wee while yet before Tierney and Maeda click, because Maeda was used to Taylor. Taylor was good at getting in an inverted role, in the middle of the park. Tierney does not do that. So Maeda's looking, he's expecting, to be there, and it's not, where Tierney's behind him. So I think it's just going to take a wee bit more in the practice ground. And we should get the fruits of labour, because, well, let's be honest, Kieran Tierney is a far superior defender than Greg Taylor, and he can still ping a ball in. But if you're looking for an inverted role, Kieran Tierney's not your man for that.
No, I totally agree. I was just kind of come to yourself, James, on the man Yang. I was going to kind of bring him up. I appreciate sometimes you need guys that are going to just fill in from time to time in your squad. But the Yang experiment for me is it's trying to justify having this guy about now for me. The guy's got 60 odd games for Celtic, and how long has it been? About 2.5 years he's been out. Well, 2 years. 2 years he's been here now. So, because he came in, I think it was Rodgers' first summer. He came in, and you're sitting saying, well, 60 games are the two campaigns. Is the worst, but it's in 2 years. He's trying to look at him and go, what? For me anyway, it's what is he giving us? Like Jed said, it comes inside. It came inside a lot on Saturday, and I know James Forrest kind of done it and Kuhn done it, but they would kind of play the ball forward or maybe take the shot on. It just seems like he comes inside and plays a 5-yard pass back. It's very safe, but it's negative safe.
That's it in a nutshell. Look, I know. Look, I've never seen anything at all with him. I know he had he's actually had a couple of wee spells. Literally kind of 2 or 3 games where he's looked semi all right. I know with that wee spell where his missus was there, and then it was a few months prior. It might even been the season before. It's got all kind of blurring into one now, but I've never understood it. I know he seems to have a wee kind of fan base within the support that see potential and all the rest of it, and I just don't understand it. I think he plays football as if he's like a 15-year-old playing men's football. He doesn't like to get near a man. Everything's back the way, sideways at best. Like Jed says, never ever goes down the byline, never looks to beat his man or take him on. And when you think even prior to Kuhn, what we had there in Abada for me wasn't the greatest winger in the sense of beating a man and getting past him, but Abada made up for that in other areas. When I think Abada, I think him coming in at the back post and scoring like he done 10 times against Rangers. Yang doesn't even do that. He's there. He just takes up a jersey. Forest either. And even for as short as we're in wingers, I would sell him the Mora. I genuinely just do not get it. You could put Marco Tilio in there, and Marco Tilio looked hopeless as well, but he would do the exact same job as Yang. You could put any odds 3 in there and would probably do the exact same job as Yang. I just do not understand it. I've never understood it. And I think the last straw for me, I can't remember when it was, but it was a game at Ibrox when he came on. Was it 3 each game? I can't remember, but it was a game he came on at Ibrox.
Oh, that one.
Just totally shat the bed, gave the ball away there and back and score, and there was just absolutely no interest in it at all. And he's got the heart of a moose, and he just, in my opinion, I just don't think he's got any ability whatsoever. I would genuinely, and I know it's a bit of I've got a love in with him, but I would honestly, hand in heart, rather see Lewis Palma in the team. I think he would offer you something. I just, honestly, like, Palma, even in his bad days, he would still at least, he would never hide. He would always take the ball and try and get by a man. Look, he wasn't the best player, but I just think he would offer so much more than Yang does. As I said, honestly, I'd fucking sell him the Mora, release him on a freedom Mora. I just do not get it.
Well, you're getting I think a lot of folk are agreeing with Stephen Murdoch. Some sort of well said off to James. And it kind of is, and the man that kind of replaced him, Jed, was James Forrest, and he kind of injected a bit of life into the game, just by simply running at a man, showing him what a winger's meant to do. And it just seems mad that we're still, what is it, Forrest, he's not became a bit player, but he's not a first team pick, and he hasn't been for a few seasons now. But he's still the best. I mean, I appreciate Kuhn's away, but with 3 weeks of the window left, James Forrest actually our best right winger at the part in the squad right now, and I think that's just a damning sort of a statement on the negotiating the recruitment team. Sorry.
Yeah. Franny, I mean, James had it for a few years. I mean, I remember the last time I thought where Yang was thinking, oh, there could be a player here. It was, remember, leading up to the game, he got sent off at Tynecastle for the high challenge. And everybody thought we all thought he was doing well leading up to that. And I always felt as well Yang was better coming on as a sub rather than starting. And maybe some of the defence was tiring. But when James Forrest came on at the weekend, you could instantly see the change. So it was, and it's guys, it's not good. Wingers at the moment, they are so weak. It is frightening how weak we are out in the wings. And like the recruitment is. I'll try and keep calm. I'm not going to swear, but honest God, it is absolutely.
We'll go into that. We'll get on to that. It's coming up. It's coming up. I'm building it up. But as I said, he injected some life into the game. James, he went on just. It almost seemed like, I wouldn't say an aimless run, but he almost ran and then just kept on running. James Forrest, and it eventually led to McGregor's chopped off goal, which for me probably was rightly chopped off. It's a handball. It wasn't intentional, but it was chopped off. And I think for there, I was sitting going, it's maybe just got to be one of the days. But also we stuck at it, and Luke McCowan gets the sort of shot away as well with deflection, and it goes in, and we get the win, and we start trophy day with a win, or flag day with a win, which is always good to see. But like we say, it wasn't vintage, and there wasn't really much styles of play. I feel like it was a lot of chances seemed to be sort of individual sort of play. I feel like.
I think a lot of the chances, probably, if we're being honest, came down to luck as well. You think of the one that kind of deflected up and then hit the post, hit the keeper, and hit the post and went out.
Just for time, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then obviously the goal as well. I mean, it's a good goal, but it's the deflection that beats the goalie. And look, I know we're going to come on to it. It's hard to know, obviously, kind of merge them together. But I think for being honest, when you seen that team, you knew there wasn't a lot of creativity in it. When you seen the forward line, I think the hope was that Nygren would kind of take that burden on. I don't think he did. I've liked what I've seen him, but to be honest, I don't think he would. A really good game on Saturday. I'd still start him at the weekend and Sunday. Sorry, but no, it wasn't, as you say, it wasn't vintage. There was no creativity, and I think we relied quite a lot on luck. And there's work to be done, and it needs to get done. Otherwise, we're taking a needless gamble. But in terms of the game on Saturday, as I say, Sunday, sorry, I'll get that right one time. But no, when we seen the team, as soon as you seen it, I just thought there would be a lack of creativity. I think Forrest actually changed the game when he came on. I thought he was really, really good. And he's as much as Yang was bad, I think Forrest probably played himself into the team anyway, regardless of that, for the game this weekend up at Portaudry. So, that's one of the few positives I think you can take away for Sunday in terms of individual performances.
Also, as well, guys, just from Saturday's game, is there any update in Kieran Tierney when he got taken off?
He was in the training pictures. So
Rodgers says after the game it was just cramp. He says it'd be
that's
all
good.
right.
Right, that's fine. I'm happy with that because I've not really seen anything on social media or anything like that.
I'm sure the pictures are released on social media. The training ones. He was in one of them.
Right.
Obviously, didn't really know how much he's training or whatever. But I like you, Jed. I've not actually seen. I kind of got a wee bit concerned, and to be fair, the game kind of died a death on the left hand side for us. I think when Kieran Tierney went off because no slanting skills, they just gave us nothing on that. Like, it just looked like a fish out of water when he was gone. It didn't know what to do. what did Nygren was one of the guys that was getting plaudits in pre-season, Jed and stuff, and obviously probably deservedly started in the middle of the park on Sunday. What did you think of his? I thought it was an okay performance, and it just maybe tired as the game went on.
Yeah, I mean, pre-season I thought he looked good. I didn't think he had a great game, but he wasn't the only player who didn't have a great game.
No.
For me, I wouldn't start him on Sunday unless I know we were discussing this in the group chat last night about can he play in the wing or something like that. Maybe he could. Maybe he could go down the way, and it means you can bring Ingles back in. But listen, he's just in the door. We need to give him time to settle in as well. But pre-season, he certainly looked decent. So there's definitely a player in there, and I just don't want guys criticising him too much, because it's a new country, Everton. So he's still finding his teammates. So yes.
No, I thought it does look a good player and stuff. I think, like you said, maybe just be getting up to speed and how we want to play. And like you said, Jed, it wasn't, but the team didn't play good collectively. It's quite an impact every player. Yeah. You didn't want to jump the gun a bit too much. But that kind of wrapped up the game, James, and Rodgers' comments sort of changed for the Friday. It's obviously not really want to totally go into recruitment, but obviously mentioned on the Friday about how we would Celtic know where he stands in terms of his contract, that if they want to show ambition, he'll sign that contract. He's not here to stand still. So just for the maybe devil's advocate in me, was that type, obviously a week has passed since then, but is that type of performance a win-win for Brendan Rodgers?
I suppose if you look at it like that, then you would say aye. And I think the substitutes he made in that game, and then I probably come on to talk about his press conference today, but probably bears that fact out as well. I don't know if you've seen it, but he asked today about Yamada and how he didn't basically go on last week. And I found his reply to it strange. I don't know if anybody's seen it in the comments or what, but his reply to it was that he can only play 11 players and Johnny Kenny came on, but it was really snap back at him. It wasn't just a straight answer, it was nippy. And I just found it strange. And when you tie that in with the comments that he made when he signed, it doesn't look great. And then when you factor in Inamura, who was one of the standouts in pre-season, didn't even make the bench, and then Tierney goes off injured and we're having to play Scales at left back. Again, it doesn't look great for outside looking in. But the comments that he made last Friday, see if you take a step back and just look at that, take your kind of Celtic tap off and your green tinted specs, and you just look at the comments in isolation, it is fucking mental that a manager of a football team has to come out and say that. Surely that's just a given. It's bad days when your manager's coming out and saying, well, if we want to progress and get better, then I am your man. And we're all going, he's got a good point there. Surely that's just a given. That's your default starting position. You always want to be better, but apparently even the manager kind of sees that that's not the case. But off the back of his comments and the subs and everything, I know he was a wee bit maybe more kind of back to normal the day in terms of he didn't go in two-footed on the board or the recruitment or anything like that. He was a wee bit more level-headed and maybe gave a few kind of politicians answers. But he can't be happy either. The comments just kind of go to prove that. And what are we doing? What are we doing, seriously? But
James, what else do you want me to say? Do you want to come out and basically say, listen, I'm sick to my back teeth?
No, I agree with you.
I think he's come out and say that.
But see, that's the thing. I think I've kind of went against Rodgers in the past. When I've said he's said one thing, like in the past, he's maybe had to go at the recruitment and then a couple of weeks later defended the recruitment, and you can't have it both ways. But I think he stopped short of doing that today. I think basically, in my opinion, he's come out last week, said his piece. Everybody knows, he's let us as supporters know where he basically stands, which is pretty much the same as the majority of us. And then he's get back to work. I don't think he can come out and go in two-footed, because he still has to keep the squad of players that said he's got to keep them happy as well. So I just took it as basically said his piece last week. His comments are there for us all to read and see the video. And then this week it was just kind of back to a bit more level-headed, having said what he said last week, knowing that certainly for the time being, and the way it was sounding getting into these Champions League playoffs, he's going to need to keep all these players on side to get the best out of them and hopefully get into the Champions League.
Because I did hear comments where he was... Sorry, Jed.
So I was just amazed when you mentioned Champions League. Do you guys think we have the squad just now to qualify for the Champions League?
To qualify, yes. But it's a bit of a punt. It's a bit of a gamble, I would say, right now.
Yeah.
I think the quality's there, but we're basically taking a needless gamble.
That's what I would say. And I think his comment, he mentioned something about negotiations and all that. So for me, he's kind of killed the argument for maybe they're not spending because of Ida Engels and Trusty, and he's went, well, he mentioned about how folk in the background doing negotiations and stuff. So for me, I mean, that's how I personally I'm reading that. He's like taking that away from himself, saying, well, I didn't pay the fees for the boys. Somebody else done the negotiation for that.
But Franny, what you've got to mind here, right? So a lot of the guys were signed close to the death, okay? At the transfer window. We're going to have the same scenario again. We are going to probably have to pay over the odds to get players in because we're going to be desperate. This is where it's fundamentally wrong. The recruitment has been an absolute disaster and has been for the last few years. I said last season, at this time, our squad is weaker than the previous year. It's now even weaker than what it was last year. And that is an indictment of how bad our recruitment team are at the moment.
See, sorry, Frank. That's the other thing that you can take away from his comments last Friday, when he was saying about maintaining the standards or looking to improve. I don't think we've even maintained the standards when you think of the players that's left. Obviously, Kyogo away in January, Kuhn this Sunday, Taylor's away. We've upgraded him with Tierney, but there's got to be question marks over his fitness. But he'll give benefit of the doubt. He's a far better player than Greg Taylor. But I'd still say overall that the team that finished is weaker. The team that finished on Sunday is weaker than last season, which I think is an absolute joke considering the position that we're in.
I could understand if we never had any money, guys. We have the money. I said in the chat, I said on here the other week, we paid a corporation tax bill of over £6 million because we didn't reinvest the money. If we reinvested that money, we wouldn't have that big a bill to pay. You reinvest it within the running the club, whether it be maintenance of the stadium, whether it be recruitment, whether, but for us to go and pay that, we should, as a supporters now, we should be so happy moving into this season thinking, good, we've got money, we've got this, we've got a good nucleus of a squad. If we can just add here and there, it could maybe take us to the next level. And I do say maybe because no signing is guaranteed, but we have to show ambition. We are not showing ambition. And that is so the morale with the vast majority of fans now is low. And that's hard to believe, guys. Going a treble and a double in the last 2 seasons, and we're all feeling the way we're feeling.
I'll just kind of jump ahead, like, we were going to kind of come on to the sort of, we've got to come on the board, which is obviously merge into recruitment and that anyway, James, but see, not necessarily round it all up, but we'll kind of, I dare say this might take a wee bit of time up talking about the next topic, if you like. But do you think just as a sort of a blank sort of a question now, do you think the board are gambling with Rodgers' future at Celtic, with the status quo, if you like?
No, I don't think they're gambling with it. I think he'll be away at the end of the season. So in that regard, I think it's his mind's been made up. That potentially could be playing into the lack of business that we've seen this summer. So I don't think they're gambling with it, no. But I always say that in the sense of, if I was a betting man, I would say he won't be here next season anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not.
Same question to you, Jed. Do you think they're gambling with it, or?
I honestly, I mean, as you all know, we were all a bit heated last night on our chat on various matters, and Stephen made a point that I was thinking, but I wasn't going to put on the chat. And if we do not, and I'm going to say it here, if we do not recruit, get a better standard or players in to fight for positions, because the guys that's playing now, because they have to, because we haven't got any cover, we've got nothing. We ain't winning the league, guys. Stephen said it last night, and I agree with him 100%. That squad now we have got ain't winning the league.
It's hard to sort of say either way from it. Well, it's hard to totally argue and be in confidence and say, "Aye, it will," because also we don't know much about these players at Rangers signed. But on one hand, you can maybe argue, going, at least they're making an effort to improve their squad. Yes, I've had to, but even Rodgers admitted that we need to freshen up James as well. And I think, personally for myself, I think if Rangers qualify for the Champions League, they'll go again, I think, to try and get maybe one or two guys in, maybe at a higher quality. But for me, it's just, I've tried, like, I usually get very anxious and nervous and moan about the transfer window, but I think, don't know if it's just became numb to it a bit. It just seems to be season on season, it's rinse and repeat, essentially. I think you could probably hear the last few Celtic managers saying a very similar interview about saying they're not pushing the board hard enough around about this time in a transfer window. I know Ange said it, Brendan Rodgers said it last week as well. So, but now, even the lack of links that you're seeing, I do believe we will bring in players, but it does feel like, on one hand, the folk that are saying, "Oh well, we overpaid for Engels, we overpaid for Ida, we've overpaid for Trusty," as I think it was Jed who said the deals came in late, and maybe that contributed to you to his paying that type, that maybe over the odds, if that is what you believe, and then that's just got to arguably happen again, is it not?
Yeah, 100%, Franny. 100%.
I don't believe they will go and sign folk, James, but it's like, what are they keeping the money for? See, what annoys me is they've got that chunky money, the elephant in the room, if you like, and that's the big problem for us right now, is how much money they've got there, and it's trying to, in previous years, maybe when you didn't have that money in the bank, you could not necessarily agree with them gambling, getting into the Champions League before spending, but maybe to an extent you could understand it, if you like, whether you agree with it or not. But it's try to put some reasoning behind it, why they're sitting on tons of money, when Lawwell himself said it's no good business model to be sitting with all this money.
And other clubs know that as well.
Aye, it's nothing new, for being honest. It happens all the time. It happened in January. We didn't replace Kyogo. We never do, but we should do in transfer windows. And even now, as you say, like, we were all talking last night, and the general consensus, I think, among Maesties was, at the minimum, we should be looking for a winger and a striker. And I agree with that at an absolute minimum, but you're replacing two guys that's away. And look, I understand that that's the model. The model's to bring guys in and sell them on for big money. I don't have a problem with that. But last year, it felt slightly different because we did go out and we spent the money. It was clear, and look, you can say they're shite, don't represent value for money and all the rest of it, but Ademida was clearly the guy that Rodgers wanted last year. We could have went elsewhere. We could have went for Miofsky. Was it Sidney Van Hooijdonk get a mention as well? There was other names mentioned last year, but it was clear that Ademida was Rodgers' man. We went out and signed him. Engels we chased for a while as well. When the fees get quoted, and it was a guy on the cusp of the Belgium team. He played X amount of games in the Bundesliga. He was a young boy. It sounded brilliant. It sounded too good for us, to be honest, in terms of what we normally get. We would put the money down, brought him in. Trusty, maybe slightly different because he get obviously relegated. But when we signed these players, they all come in with glowing reports for Brendan Rodgers. It was clear, at least to me anyway, that these guys were Brendan Rodgers players. They were Brendan Rodgers signings. And look, you can say they've been bad, they've been indifferent, they've been shite, they don't represent value. You can say everything. In the grand scale of it, each and every one of them played their part in a double winning season where we were a penalty shootout away from winning a treble and qualifying, making literal progress in the Champions League and qualifying for the knockout round. So it's something that I've never subscribed to, but I know that people say because he spent that money last year and they don't represent value for money, then it won't get backed again by the board. And I just don't think that's the case, because for me, that's then a breakdown in trust. They don't trust his judgment. So if that's the case, then what are we doing? Why would we hang about for a year? Just get him out the door, bring somebody else in. As I said the last time I was on, the thing, and it's another thing that people are saying as well, and I get the logic behind it, but it's that the board won't go out and spend the money because it's going to be Brendan Rodgers last season and he'll be away next summer anyway. I agree with that. He will be away next summer, in my opinion, as well. But I don't get the logic. I don't get the leap for Rodgers leaving and no spending this summer, because a new manager's going to come into the exact same problems. We're still going to need a winger. We're still going to need a striker. I get the logic. It's no them identifying it, but it's glaringly obvious that that's the two positions that we need, purely because we've sold our two best players, or two of our better players, sorry, in the positions. So I don't really get that either. I don't get it at all. I just don't understand the strategy. I don't get the logic. And as Jed says, it's no as if we're short of a couple of quid. Everybody knows it's there. This is a club that, what was it, 2 years ago or 18 months ago? It was 2 years ago, wasn't it? It was 2 summers ago when we put the statement out for, was it Peter Lawlett put the statement out saying that they appreciated the fans' frustrations, they wanted deals done, the money was there, we just couldn't get them. And you're like, we're doing the exact same thing again. We get away from it last year, fine. Whether you like either Engels and Trustles, by the by, we spent the money on them, fair enough. And then we've just come into this summer, and it feels as if it's worse than ever. And I fail to see any logic or reasoning behind it. And I think there's other things, and I know it's not necessarily the club's fault, but like they've put the prices of season books up. Then it was £25 for a Newcastle friendly, which used to be on the season books. You used to get a qualifier on the season book, which is obviously you're not getting this year. They've put the tickets out today. There's Adidas stuff coming out every fucking 12 hours, which I get as the club's fault. That's marketing deals with Adidas, but it just all plays into this.
Take.
And I've never felt that, because I understand it's a business and all the rest of it, but it really is just, it's beyond a joke this year. And I honestly, I just do not get I don't understand how, as I say, I was on here in January, and I know we and Ross had a wee ding dong a couple of weeks ago about the use of the word coasting and all that, but in my opinion, that's what we done in January. We thought we're that far ahead, we'll coast through to the end of the season and we'll bring a striker in. In the in-between time, the hope was that Ademida would kick on and score umpteen goals, and then in that scenario I'd be alright with the business we'd done, because we would only be looking for a backup Dida. but he didn't do that. It ended up that our best winger had to then become our best striker, and he's now back out in the wing this summer, and we're now into the second week in August, and we've still not replaced a guy that was sold 7 months ago, and still our best signing of this summer, again, was a guy that the deal was done 7 months ago as well, and Kieran Tierney. So, and we knew, it's not as if these qualifiers came as a shock to us. We knew that we were going to have to play the qualifiers, so I just do not understand the logic. I would just love for, I know Brighton, I was reading about the Brighton CEO, he gives I don't know if it's quarterly or twice a year or something. He comes out and gives updates on what the plan is, what the club's vision is for the next 5 years or whatever it would be. But we don't get that. We just seem to stumble from one transfer window into the next, and
but
it seems to be a lack of everything.
It's not even the transfers at the moment. In my opinion, though, the whole club or board levels are in a mess. What's going on with Barrowfield at the moment? What's happened there? We're not hearing anything that's going on there. The stadium. Look at the side of the stadium. They took half of the posters are down and they haven't been replaced. The inside of the stadium needs painted. Again, spending the common money, a £6 million tax bill, corporation tax. Could that money all not been used in freshening up the stadium, tidying it up?
I'm sure Ross would have done it for £6 million.
But Franny, it's just the things that it's just hours going on now. We just seem to be. Now, people have said to me as well, is it because of the child sex abuse that's went on? They need to pay the money. And rightly so, the people need to get paid for that. It's the club's insurance.
Is that no insurance that pays that?
The insurance is paying that. It's not the club is paying that, right? So it's not even that. Please, I mean, James hit the nail on the head. We've got an email today regarding the tickets for the qualifying for the Champions League. They've already taken money out of my account for next Friday night. They'll be taking money out of my account for the Champions League next week as well. It is take. It's now getting to the stage they are taking the utter pish out of every single fan, whether they go to the games or they're at home. People are going buying the merchandise and everything. We deserve better. We have helped this club out. We've had the biggest fan share issue in the history of football under Fergus McCann. The fans have backed and will continue to back. Show some loyalty to the fans and get their finger out and fucking support the manager.
I kind of, it's hard to argue or try and come back and give logic to why it seems like we're not doing anything. And I think, just to come back to you, James, as well, it feels like just the way things are now, almost feels like whatever Celtic do, it's folk are got to find issue with it. And I kind of get it, because it's just, like I say, a lot of this stem for would never seem to strengthen or try and progress for our position a strength. We couldn't be any stronger financially. We've got a great manager at the helm. And it's just everything was there to push on. And as it seemed, as we are now, we have regressed to, now we might come out this window stronger. It's got to take a lot to do that, I admit right now. But it's just like, if they would just come out and say what the money's for, like, see if they just came out and goes, look, we've got to redevelop the stadium. Whether you agree with that or not, but at least you would know why they're keeping all this money. You would know where the money, so we've got to say, look, I mean, they're never got to come out and go, like, well, this is Rodgers' last season, we've just got to keep it for next season. So they're never going to come out to that. And they kind of keep saying, oh, it's just in case we didn't qualify for the Champions League. I mean, you've got about £100 million cash reserve in the bank. The rainy day's been with COVID and we didn't even take money for that. I didn't think so. It's,
but Franny,
just tell us what you're keeping the money for.
If they back the manager now and get the players in prior to it, there is no guarantee we're going to qualify. It gives us a better chance to qualify.
100%.
You speculate to accumulate. At this moment, you're putting our head in the sand and we're not wanting to bring the head back out. It is absolute stupidity what's happening now.
Right. That's I honestly, I just love for somebody to come out and explain the strategy. because it all seems to be cloak and dagger stuff within the Celtic boardroom, and I know we're kind of getting around the hoosies, but the outlier in the boardroom and the last few transfer windows certainly was Angie's first season, and it was when Michael Nicholson was there. Look, Michael Nicholson came in for Scottish rugby, and I know there's all rumours going about he had issues
Dominic
elsewhere.
Mackay, you mean? Michael Nicholson's the guy that said they do
But sorry,
yes,
aye. Dominic Mackay, sorry, came in for Scottish rugby, and he was a wee bit more transparent. There was kind of fans forums. He was front and centre when Ange came in as well. I know we get fed a lot of shite about he'd noticed Ange when Scotland were in Japan on rugby duty and all that rubbish, but there was a bit more transparency, and there was fans forums, and look, the questions might have been vetted and all the rest of it, but at least they were still there. I mean, what do we get the new? You get an AGM obviously once a year, and it's a back patting session, and then they'll throw the wee odd joke at Rangers, and everything's hunky dory and everything's fine. And look, I just don't get it. Like Jed says, like we plough hundreds of pounds into this club every year. Depending on your circumstances, you might plough thousands, and if you're going to away games and buying all the gear and all the rest of it. And when you kind of take a step back and you look at it, like, there is absolutely nothing coming out for boardroom level to explain what anything is. I mean, as I say, like 2 years ago, we get that statement out for Peter Lawwell on the Celtic website, telling us that we wanted to do better in this transfer window. It was difficult. The excuse was, fucking sceptical hat on, but it was COVID. There was basically debts left over for COVID or whatever. Yeah. And then we also threw that most clubs in Europe hadn't spent big, and it was like the lowest net spend in their transfer window in X amount of years or whatever. You don't have any of the excuses anymore.
Yeah, so the narrative at the time.
Exactly. And that is kind of safety net, if you like. That isn't there anymore. And to get back to my point, sorry, I was saying about Michael, the guy that's name's about Dominic Mackay. He came in. It was a wee bit more transparent. As I say, he was front and centre with Ange and the fans forum and all the rest of it. What there was maybe issues with Juranovic's contract and Giacomakis' contract. That was the rumours. But he then goes out the door, and then Michael Nicholson comes in, and it was Michael Nicholson that was fucking Peter Lawwell's T-boy. Do you know what I mean? So at that point, you're kind of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's fucking musical chairs in the boardroom, innit? It's the same people, just with different titles, and obviously Lawwell's still there, and I know he's the kind of boogeyman when it comes to this. People have different opinions of how much influence he's got, but the full thing this summer, more than most, I just feel so. I don't think I felt as disconnected from fucking the Celtic kind of as I did during the COVID season, and I'm not there yet. But I just look at it and I genuinely just think, what are we doing? What is the reasoning? Because every reason that gets presented, I just don't understand it. I don't get the logic in it. As I say, whether it's you think last year wasn't good enough, or we're waiting till we get into the Champions League. If you think last year wasn't good enough, as I said, then they should be getting rid of the manager if they don't trust them. If we're waiting to get into the Champions League, then come out and tell us why we're waiting, while we know we're sitting on roughly about £100 million sitting there. Do you know what I mean? It's just things James, like that.
They're treating all the fans like mushrooms. We're kept in the dark and fed shite. That is what's happening. Honestly, it is just. I really hope that we get the finger out, because the unrest that is going to come from the stands. They thought it was bad during the COVID year. This is going to be 100 times worse, because the fans will all know we have the money to do something about it. And for some reason, at this precise moment, we're chosen not to.
No, I've got to agree with all of that, because it's I think what you said, James, with the disconnect, I think that's within a lot of the fan base. You certainly see it online and stuff, that even look at the boy Jamal Simpson-Pussy that signed, it's folk even got annoyed with that in the sense that it was in their training kit. Why is he not announced it? Why is he not announced it? And it almost feels like now Celtic are damned if they do and damned if they don't. And I agree. I'm not trying to stick up for them. They've brought a lot of that on themselves. We even like signing a boy who's came highly recommended for Man City, but folk are like, well, we've seen him in training gear on Sunday at the park taking pictures with fans, and what was it, Wednesday got announced as he'd signed.
Like, another example of that. Another example of that was the Johnny Kenny contract extension today. If you take that, but if you take it in isolation, it does make sense because it's a player that the manager clearly rates. He was at Shamrock Rovers on loan last year, done really well, scored goals for them in the Conference League as well. So the logical thing would to give him an extension and maybe send him out on loan to somebody up here, Aberdeen, Hibs, whoever would fancy him up here. That would be an ideal scenario for me. But then you put it in the context of a couple of weeks ago, Bolton bid for him and apparently get told the asking price for him was £1 million. And then 2 weeks later, we've signed him up for another 4 years. And apparently, as it seems just now, he's the second choice striker. So, as you say, I don't know if I'd go as far as to saying they're damned if they do, damned if they don't, because they have, they've done it all to themselves, really. But even just things like that, if you look at it on the face of it, it does make sense. If you put your logical hat on, then it does make sense. But then when you apply it into the context of everything else that's happened this summer, you start thinking, fuck, is that going to be our option off the bench then? Is that the backup to Adam Ida that's going to be? And obviously, as we've all kind of said, in an ideal world, we'd be bringing in another striker. I still think, I think it's impossible that we don't bring in at least a striker and a winger. And I know that if I'm sitting here, I'm saying that is the business that will get done. And I know that when that happens, there will be people kind of maybe doing victory laps, if you want, saying that it was always going to get done. But for me, that just fucking totally misses the point, because it is just a totally needless gamble. Even like the Simpson-Pussy that we've brought in for Man City, did it really take us until the first week in August to find a 19-year-old for Man City on loan for a season? When I think a lot is, no everybody, but I think a lot is in an ideal world would have signed a kind of first pick left centre half to come in and take a jersey off a Scales. Even last week we were all sitting here saying that it's going to be a massive season for Trusty and we all hope he can kick on. He shows it in spits and spurts. And then dropped. It's Liam Scales that gets the jersey. So it's just that it's no a great place.
Is there any good news, guys?
I know.
I mean, there will be folk out there. They're referred to as the happy clappers. I mean, that's a statement. Like the whole happy clappers and you're either opposite. I just think that's a society thing. You're either one side or the other. There's no in the middle. Like everybody wants the best for Celtic. It's just everybody's got their own idea of how they envision that and how they want to achieve that. And again, that's their gift. Everybody, like I say, everybody wants the best for Celtic. It's just how you see that manifesting. I feel like, and some folk, whether we like to admit it or not, simply go to the football just to enjoy going to the football and have done for years, and maybe want to progress. Like maybe isn't higher in their agendas as such. As I say, they just like going to the football and watching Celtic on the park.
You made a point there. Remember a few years ago what Ange Postecoglou said after we went top of the league, we beat Rangers 3-0, about the fact that we've managed, people can come here and have had 90 minutes. They can forget about everything, their troubles back home. Unfortunately, it's reversed now because we're thinking about the shite that's going on at the club at the moment back home. It's a complete turnaround. So
and like James said, and they have brought it on themselves. And I agree with you as well about James, where I can see it now. If we go and spend big-ish on, like say, a winger and striker, there will folk at the end that will go, look, it's been a successful window, but then you'll probably still line up at Ibrox with a front three, Maeda, James Forrest, and Ida, and you're going, well,
But Franny, we're still, the transfer window doesn't close till after the derby. So we're going to wait till after the derby.
No, it doesn't close till after it, but it's... Well, I'd hope no. I'd hope no, but I would hope what you got 10 or 11 days until the Champions League game. I would hope your main guys are in, but then obviously deals maybe after that will fall in your lap that you've got to kind of look into and stuff. So it's like we said, if they told us what the money was for, Jed, whether you agree with it or not.
I know, but you've got players that haven't contacted ABC, whoever it is, and they'll say, "I'll come to you," but they want you in the amount to make sure in the Champions League first. No, come now. Get us to the Champions League. You know, you want people who want to come. So you do.
In an ideal world, Jed, that I think so, yes, that's what you would say. Go, no, come now. But I think, unfortunately, some of these players will be going, I want to see where I've maybe got options to be in the Champions League. I'm going to wait to see if I'm definitely got to be in the Champions League. And maybe, just maybe, might go down like a lead balloon, but back, if we can try and bring a bit of balance and come for the bold side of the argument, the level of play that Rodgers will be looking for maybe is of the investment of an Adam Ida, of an Engels, and maybe that player's now looking for 50, 60 grand a week, and maybe the board just aren't willing to go. Maybe that's the ambition that Rodgers is talking about. We just don't know.
But they could come out and say, look, we have a wage structure here, we won't break it. You know, at least then we know.
I know.
I think James has done a runner.
Aye, well that's it. It's just, I know. He has, but just as well, because we're kind of just got to jump onto the Celtic by numbers thing. I think it was Anthony McGinn who brought it to the podcast, and I think the last time I done this with you, we were on number 2, Jed, and they were doing number 5. So there's technically only one player to talk about, and I hope I'm not being rude, but I believe you would have probably seen a good bit of Mr. Billy McNeil.
Well, a wee bit, but it was getting to the end. I was really young at the time.
Right.
Number 5, and then after that was, I'm sure, Tom McAdam. And his brother played with Rangers, actually. And then Derek White. And then Tony Mowbray, I think, played number 5 as well.
All right.
So that's... But, did Simonovic not play number 5?
Because remember he scored in the 67th minute.
The minute,
I can't remember if it was the day that he died, or it was the first game after.
It was the first game after it, and he scored in the 67th minute wearing the number 5. It was very fitting. So it was. But the one, but the player that springs to mind, like the number 5, there is a few, but Tony Mowbray's very first game for Celtic was against Aberdeen at Parkhead, and I remember it rattled a shot from a way outside, and it hit the crossbar, corner of the crossbar post. What a goal that would have been! So it was, but it's hard because now it's all squad numbers. Where before, you know, I grew up about your number 5 was your defender, number 4 and number 5 was your centre halves, 2 was your right back, 3 was your left back. But it's all changed now.
To be fair, Wally's quite big in that, and I think there was a player recently, I think they might have signed for AC Milan, a right back that's taking the squad number 2, and you're like, that's just all manners of wrong, mate, that you're taking number 2 and you play left back. It's just nuts. But James, I'll come to you. Number 5s for Celtic that jump out at you.
Liam Scales.
Liam Scales. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Liam Scales.
Get the statue. Van Dijk was 5, wasn't he?
Aye.
Ooh, good shout.
So Van Dijk's the one that sticks out for me. I've not had a chance to Google anything, but always, was it Groney going to come in for, was it 2.5 million or something we paid for?
Thereabouts, aye.
He was
good, wasn't a bad player, was he?
Here's one for you. Now, just talk about Van Dijk. CCV would be a bigger loss than Van Dijk. Yes or no?
Aye, because we've got no fucking replacements for him.
Nah, I would say Carter Vickers has been a better player for Celtic than Van Dijk.
Aye. It's simply just due to the time that Van Dijk came in. I can remember I think it was a cup game at Hampden, and was it Nicky Law? Might have been Nicky Law was chasing Van Dijk. Van Dijk was doing a big run up the park or something. I think it might have been Law was chasing, just shoved him and almost shoved him into the stand. It was a beauty just seeing him just falling everywhere.
It was always the game at the new camp. I remember did we get 6-0 or 6-1 at the new camp? And Van Dijk was probably our man of the match. He was fucking brilliant that night. He conceded 6.
Where's Franny now?
To be fair to me, Dad was like, I don't know how to say it. He's done a bit coasted for games. He absolutely coasted for games. James is away again, He's obviously pissed off. Where's Jed? He's obviously pissed off.
I don't know. I keep losing you as well, Franny. I don't know what's up with the link tonight.
We'll look ahead to the Aberdeen game on Sunday. Could be a trick. I know we're not necessarily overawed by the squad, but maybe it's a good game to go into, and we'll be happy. Like a good game that we'll maybe trust the players to get up for it, considering the cup final might be fresh in the memories.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Hearts Aberdeen game on Monday night. Hearts were all over them in the first half.
That's froze. I have no idea.
Yeah, I froze now.
Right. I think it was me, Jed, because I can hear you fine now.
Look, Aberdeen performed a lot better in the second half on Monday night. I actually thought they maybe deserved a draw. Mm-hmm. Aberdeen's going to go up for it. They're going to be in our faces on Sunday, and the players need to be aware of this. The Aberdeen's obviously lost their first game, so they'll be trying to make sure they don't lose 2 games in a row, because that's just going to pile the pressure on their manager straight away. So we have to go up there with the right attitude. I know we have, I think it's 2016 was the last time we could be up at Pittodrie, but we have to go up there with the right attitude and mentality, and we have to pick a strong team. That's how I just think Negra might be in the bench for this one on Sunday.
I mean, I'm obviously looking forward to it, and like we're saying there, James, it might, as much as what we know there's weaknesses in the squad, in Aberdeen, away to Aberdeen is never an easy fixture, but with the cup final being, say, so soon, but it'll be so fresh in the memories, it might just give us that wee edge for the players, that just to kind of get us over the line and get the result. How are you feeling about Sunday?
I'm not confident, to be honest. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be tight. If I was picking it's one of the ones, there's probably a team that I pick, and what I think the actual team that will get put will be. I think he won't change it too much. I think the only change will be Forrest will come in for Yang. If it was me, I'd put Nygren out in the wing with Maida through in the middle and James Forrest at the other side, and put Engels in Nygren's place in the middle of the park. I don't think that will happen. I think that's too many changes, but you'd like to think we'll be a wee bit more pace about our play compared to last week, partly with Forrest coming in and Yang no being there, hopefully. But no, I think it'll be a really tight game. But I'll go 2-1, Callum McGregor to score.
I think I'll hear a very similar lineup to you, providing we've obviously not heard anything to say that Tierney will only be in the team. But I would maybe play. I think it will be. I think the team you've said, James. I think that's what it'll be. It'll be the only change will be Forrest for Yang. But I would maybe play Nygren out there, bring Engels in, but keep Adam Ida up there and Maeda on the left, just more for that physical presence. I know he doesn't necessarily always use it well, but I think I would prefer that Petrodji's not a massive part where you maybe didn't get the benefit in Maeda's pace, but then I suppose you could argue you've got to get the benefit out. If you're not going to get the benefit through the middle, you're getting the benefit out wide. So it's worrying. But I think the team you say, James, will be it. But personally, I would put Nygren out in the right and bring Engels in, just a bit of muscle in the middle of the park, if you like, and stuff. And I'm going for 2-0, but I think it'll be far from hassle-free 2-0. Yourself, Jed, what's your line-up and score?
Line-up, what I would do, like James says, what I would pick to watch, probably going to be different. It would be, Schmeichel, Johnson, Carter Vickers, Tierney, and I would have Trusty. Middle of the park would be Engels, Hatate, McGregor. And I do like the idea if he can play it, because we all thought he was going to be Nygren out with Maeda in the wing and still have Ida up top. But have no qualms if he puts Maeda up top. And then Forrest starts as well. I do think we need to have a wee bit different from what we had at the weekend. And we do need to be up for it, because they're going to be physical. So I've seen you put a comment up, Shinny is going to be flying in. He always does. So we have to be prepared for that. What we haven't seen, James, is Nygren yet. How's he going to cope with the physicality of a Scottish game? He might flourish in it. That could be great, but I'm just concerned maybe take the chance so early. If we played really well last week and had a resounding victory, we're going to think, okay, we can still put them in. I just think we have to raise our game considerably to win on Sunday. And guys, I'm going for a 1-0 win for us and a penalty and goal scoring.
The only thing I would add is that I know a lot of people say, I know they say that, but Inamura and Yamada getting in the squad or getting on the park at the weekend was Rodgers sending a message to the board. I don't really buy into that either, to be fair. But what I will say is if Yang starts the game, then I might start believing that, because I just do not understand. I don't think that Yang starts on Sunday.
It's how can you look at last Sunday and go, Yang needs to start. When you look at James Forrest coming on from making a massive difference, and if Yang starts, you've got to go, hold the bus here.
The only way Yang starts on Sunday if there are major injuries. That's all.
I know. Well, it's been a very positive podcast, lads. I've got to say. But it's one of the things. What's the score there, Jed?
1. Birmingham's 1-0 up. Kyogo hit the post. It was very unlucky. Lobbed the keeper, and the Birmingham player got in the rebound. So it's 1-0 to Birmingham.
That's another thing I think Celtic's up. We're just lauding after ex-players and that now. It's mad. It's brilliant. It's brilliant being a Celtic fan now. But no, that's it. That's it for the night. Hopefully we get a positive result on Sunday.
And can we go and start moaning the chat now?
We'll likely not see signing soon, because Rodgers put that to bed in his interview today and said there's not an imminent. So
honestly, I don't think the board can sign an autograph at the moment.
So next week could be a quiet podcast when we didn't. We'll not be talking about new signings. We'll just hopefully be talking about a win against Falkirk, which is it? No, it's not Falkirk.
Friday night we play Falkirk. Yep.
And the cup
week tonight.
We'll be back next Friday. I think it's going to be a reaction pod to it.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the plan, because everybody will be watching the game at the end of the day.
I'll phone you on the way home in the car, raging.
And we'll know. And the thing is, we'll not be. If Rodgers' comments are right to go by, we'll not be talking about new signings coming in, because he's not expecting any either. So, but
that says it all, Franny.
But it was asked about it in the press conference today, Jed, and he said there's nothing imminent. So last week there was one's coming in by the weekend, and we got one this week. So
you get asked on off. What was it? Is there MD came in for the qualifier for the playoff, and I think he said, "Honestly, I don't know." So if that doesn't fill you with confidence, then nothing will.
And on that note, well, thanks for everybody that got involved in the comments. We'll see you next Friday, and stay well, keep safe, and hail, hail.